Okay, hello everyone and welcome to this series of videos on how to in Spotfire. Today we are going to learn how to use the document properties to obtain a specific output using the scripting options, okay? So the scenario for this example is that we are building a report. That report is a simple data table that should display specific columns by default. In this case we have 1, 2, 3, 4 columns highlighted in blue. Those are going to be by default columns. But we would like to have the option for the user to add any extra columns based on the selection on this drop-down list that is going to be part of this text area. So we want the user to be able to select if he wants to add column 1, column 3, or column 4, or whatever, and being able to go back to our original report with the default columns. Okay, so to do this, we're going to be programming a very simple script. This is going to be using the IronPython language, and if you need to research a little more about this, there is a lot of information online. But for our specific example, we're going to focus on the steps in Spotfire. So for this, the first step will be to create this document property. So you just go to this option, and in this case, we are using the drop-down list. So I'm just going to edit here so you're going to be able to see how it looks like. This is a document property, and it is a drop-down list that has the following columns as options for you to select after you drop down. So I have my optional column 1, 2, 3, and 4 that I'm going to be able to select from to add extra columns to the table. So the step for this is just to create a new one, being sure that you name it properly. In this case, my name is call1, and that you describe the type of data that is going to be, and if you have to initiate it and so on, you do it here. In this case, it's going to be a column selection, so we're going to have the option of selecting any of these 4 columns for our example. I did the same for the second parameter, so it's going to be call2. And in this case, for this demo, we are using exactly the same optional columns 1, 2, 3, and 4. But the goal for this to have 2 options is if you have different sets of columns, and one is giving you all, for example, start dates, and the other one is giving you, for example, end dates for production time and so on. So you can actually have anything you need here. So what we're going to do is we're going to take a look at the script that is actually tied to each of these properties. So this first property is actually executing a script, and we're going to be able to see that script and being able to see what it's doing. Okay? So in this specific example, all what we are doing is defining which one is my parameter. So in this case, for example, parameter is coming from one of the inputs that you have on the drop-down list. So here is the name of your property. In this case, my call2 is one of my properties, but you can name these differently. Just be sure that you are assigning this to something that you are going to recognize, because you are going to be calling that down in the script. So this part here is actually just giving you, this is just kind of a safety key that is going to give you an error in case the script can't find a data table. So it's going to be very important that you are actually using the correct name of the data table, meaning this report table should be the actual name of the table that you are using to create the report. Okay, and then this is the actual script here. I'm going to highlight just the very basic part that you will need, because everything else is just copy and paste. So what's going on here is that you are actually asking if the input that you are receiving from that drop-down list is equal to the name of one of the columns that you have. You are pretty much adding that column to your existing data table. Okay, so that is all is happening here. And this visualization 1 is the parameter from the script that you have to tie to your specific visualizations in your specific analysis. So in this case, if I click on this edit option, you are going to be able to see that this variable is actually tied to my visualization that is coming from that specific table, from that specific page, okay? So that is the important part here. You have to be able to tie that value to your specific visualization in your specific DXP. That's pretty much it. Once you do this, you should be able to run the script, and I added this part over here where this is just printing the names of the columns that you have available on that data table by default. So you're going to be able to see the names and being able to copy and paste from here to here to be able to do it faster. So you're going to repeat this if parameter as many times as you need. In this case, it's going to depend on the number of options that you have in this drop-down menu. So here, I did it 4 times because I added 4 options, okay? So once you do that, you should be able to add the different columns here. These 2 parameters have exactly the same script. The only difference is that one is tied to call 1 and one is tied to call 2. So one is calling this parameter and the other one is calling this parameter. That's it. Now, to be able to reset this table to the original conditions, the only thing that I'm doing here is to creating a bookmark. So to create a bookmark, just simple click on this icon. And in this case, I clean everything in my page. I have the default none for the 2 parameters, so they are clean as soon as I start. And I just capture the properties of the visualization with a bookmark. So when I add the bookmark, I can say clean all, and that bookmark is gonna be capturing all the properties that I have right now on my DXP. So what I did was to tie that bookmark to this option here, and you have the edit control. You can name it properly based on what you are trying to do and just tie it to the specific bookmark that you need to tie it to. Okay, so that's pretty much it. I hope this is going to be useful and that you're going to be able to think of multiple applications that you can use for your specific cases. Thank you, and see you next time.